for 2 weeks, and then he would be home for like 3 days straight, and then he would start the same thing again. But he would always have like between every 2 weeks he would have 3 days off.
Do you remember how much fun it was when we got to go on the train to go to St. Louis?
Yes, and he would, lots of times take us on the train to St. Louis with him. And we would go to the zoo and go to the movie and all while he was sleeping, and then my mother would take us there while he was sleeping. And then we would get back on the train because we could ride the train for free. It didn't cost anything. It was fun riding the train.
Remember when we got locked in the bathroom?
No.
You don't remember that? We got locked in the bathroom. You know when they make a stop, they lock the bathrooms. And Jean and I were in the bathroom, and they locked us in.
It's probably an automatic lock, right? The locks or something?
No, what's the other guy called? That was the conductor.
Porter?
No.
The brakeman.
The brakeman come through and locks the bathroom door. Anyway, we were in there screaming and hollering, and Dad heard us, and he come and let us out. You remember we danced in the aisle, and they gave us, people threw us nickels? Dumb.
Probably because we were willing to quit.
We were little kids, yeah. Well, what was really fun was to go back on the caboose and look out and see where you'd been.
And especially we would always go out on the caboose when we went over the Mississippi River.
That was really exciting. The Tide Bridge that you went over. That's one thing kids miss out on today is the train rides.
Jane, did your great-grandmother ever have any encounters with Jesse James?
That was her grandma.
Your grandmother.
I don't know.
Can you tell that story, Dolores, about Jesse James?
Tony, which is my great aunt, she said that her mother, which was Jean's grandma, was a little girl, and she went out to get one and came up on a horse, and her mother came out and was talking. She was talking to my great-grandma at that time. And she found, he asked her name and everything, and she asked his name, and he told her his name was Jesse James. Now, that's what my great-aunt told me. I don't know whether it's a fact or what, but I guess, she lived with her, so she ought to know what went on. But that's kind of something to remember.
How about your grandfather and Uncle Barry Finn?
Well, he was supposed to have been a friend of Mark Twain. They came from Louisiana, which was down by where Mark Twain used to be. That's your grandma and grandpa. My great-grandparents. This is a story that your Aunt Anna Mary told us, that he was supposedly Mark Twain's, and when Mark Twain wrote the book of Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, it was supposed to have been him and your grandfather.
Who was it? My grandfather, who?
Kendall. Grandpa Kendall. Now this is the story that Anna Mary told me. I don't know whether it's written down anywhere or what, but this is the story she told me. That's interesting.
Well, now Dad can tell about his parents.
Well, my father was born in southeastern Indiana, Houghton, Indiana. My mother was born in Nashville, Indiana. Her maiden name was Kennedy. That is southern Indiana. They both had large families, came from large families, and my mother had 10, me being the youngest. They both are deceased. I'm trying to think how old they are. They'd both be better than 100 years old right now if they'd lived. just my grandmother on my mother's side, and that's the only grandparent I recall. Also, back in those days, you didn't travel then like you do now. Jump in a car and run 60 mile in 50 or 55 minutes. Then if you even had a car and you went 60 mile, you could figure it was an all-day. There was no interstates, very few real good roads. So there's been a lot of changes in 60 years.
Well, your mother didn't ever work.
She never had a day of her life, but as the best I can remember, she only went out of the state, well, maybe 3 or 4 times, and it was 60 mile to Cincinnati, or 80 mile to Cincinnati maybe. She went there once. She went across the border 60 mile the opposite way into Illinois. Well, she probably did go over there half a dozen times. But other than that, that is all she ever seen. Left her from home.
Ohio and Illinois.
Just barely across the borders.
Ohio, Cincinnati.
And my father, I'm not sure he's seen much more than that. I don't recall him ever saying that he went out of the state. I know back in the day,